Good morning and welcome to Primetime Analysis. I hope wherever you are, you're doing great and you're having a good day. Now, in 2022 presidential campaigns, William Ruto made a promise to Kenyans. And one of the things that he promised to do was to ensure that the cost of living is brought down. If you look at the voting pattern, if we are to believe the outcome that the IEBC gave us, most Kenyans of the lower cadre or the poor voted largely to William Ruto. And this was because of the belief that they had that the cost of living will be reduced and that life will become more bearable to them. You remember the promise during the petition where the azimio was having, during the time when azimio was still having the petition in courts? William Ruto said that immediately he will put that Bible down, the cost of unga will also go down. And this is a promise that Kenyans have been holding dear to them. And for this reason, they have always decided or tried to make William Ruto accountable for the promises that he gave them. We looked at how William Ruto got into power. And immediately got into power, the first thing he did was to trash out everything that Uhuru Kenyatta had done. He ended the subsidies on fuel, ended the subsidies on unga, and any form of subsidy. And in fact, we remember that even things like universal health care, where women were getting Linda Mama services, elderly Inua Jamii fundings, were all cut off for some time. And the Kenyans have had enough of what they have seen. To add salt into injury, William Ruto, in his maiden budget finance act that they passed, decided to increase taxes in critical areas that affect common man. For these reasons, Kenyans have been very skeptical over the success of William Ruto's government. In fact, many people wonder whether he was really prepared to take over this government. But since William Ruto has played clever, Kenyans have decided to remain woke and deal with William Ruto in the best way they can deal with him. Now, in this analysis, I want us to look at the ways in which Kenyans have come out to respond to William Ruto over his punitive government and punitive taxes that is imposing on them. Before I begin this, let me first of all thank each and every one of you for tuning in. And for those who have not subscribed, please consider taking a second or two to subscribe to our channel so that next time we make such kind of a video, you get notified immediately. For those who have subscribed and continue to support us, we thank you for the support, and remember, we don't take that support for granted. Now let's jump in to our main topic. Kenyans are tired with William Ruto. And I always say that among all governments that have been formed in this country, this has become the most hated government within its first year. You always know that every government that is coming into place, people are always very happy. People are always looking for that breath of change. But if you look at this government, people think that things have even gotten worse. Some are even saying it was even better for Uhuru Kenyatta to continue leading us. But I don't want to delve deeper on that. I want us to look at ways in which Kenyans have come out to protest over William Ruto's punitive taxes and leadership. First reason, or first strategy that Kenyans have employed: people working in public service and those in private employment have issued strike notices. The other day, doctors issued a strike notice starting with Kenyatta National Hospital. And they said that the taxes imposed by the government is making doctors to go home with peanuts. And therefore, they want their CBA that was agreed earlier in 2021 to be implemented. And they want the administration to deploy strategies to ensure that healthcare system in this country can be improved. So they have said we are giving the government and the county governments 2 weeks notice of strike. We also have the Kenya National Union of Teachers, NAT, which has also given TSC 2 weeks strike notice, where they are saying if their bargain that is supposed to increase their salaries is not implemented, then they will be going to strike. I want to tell you that one of the ways through which government gets destabilized is when critical services offered by the government are crippled by unrests like the strike that I'm talking about. And you realize that when doctors will be on strike, public healthcare system in the country will be crippled. When teachers will be on strike, education system will be crippled. What then will the government be doing for Kenyans at that time? We also have taxi and national haulers. These are people driving long distance vehicles and also those doing taxis. They have issued a strike notice, and their strike notice will be coming to effect on 12th, which is Wednesday. So William Ruto has a lot of things going on. He has to deal with the doctors, he has to deal with the teachers, and then these drivers are also coming out to oppose and to show solidarity against punitive taxation and bad economic environment. We note that the government is supposed to be an enabler, not a ruler or a micromanager of businesses within a country. And therefore, looking at the finance bill, there are many negative economic outcomes that the government is getting from this. So this is one of the ways through which Kenyans are working against William Ruto's regime. The second strategy is reduction in fuel consumption. Over the weekend, people dealing in the oil and gas sector said that demand for fuel has reduced significantly. Some are reporting 40% reduction in consumption, others are reporting 50% reduction in consumption. What does this mean? If the government targeted to receive a certain specific revenue target, if it has reduced by 50%, surely, do you think it is going to meet its revenue targets? And that is why when Jimmy Wanjigi said that the revenue targets of this government are unachievable and are unrealistic, he spoke sense. Kenyans have decided to follow what Raila Odinga said. For those who are traveling, do carpooling, avoid private transportation, and also go into public transport system so that many of you avoid buying fuel where William Ruto wants to get much revenue. Still on fuel, we remember last week the report that William Ruto has gone back to the Saudis and he is of the opinion that let them renegotiate the government to government oil deal situation. They are saying that they want the payment to begin on a later date. And then again, they also want the purchase and the prices to be on a favorable levels. One of the promises that this government made for us was that government to government fuel deal, fuel prices deal, will make oil cheaper. They said that instead of buying it at a higher price, we will get it at a lower price because now it is a government to government dealing. There are no middlemen. But one thing we are getting to understand out of these government to government deals is that government has people that they prefer, that they want to engage in these businesses. And therefore, they have disguised this as a government to government deal, but they have specific importers that they have assigned that responsibility to take such kind of deals into implementation. And therefore, we also understand that another reason why this government to government deal was supported is that it would ease the demand for the dollar. And one thing, if I tell you, they also said that it will reduce prices of fuel. If I tell you, is that right now in Nairobi, petrol prices, the petrol price for 1 liter is going for 195.53. In Kampala, it is going for 190.49. In Kigali where it is, it is going for 183.57. And then in Dar es Salaam, it is going for 157.4. Dar es Salaam, we can understand they also have their port, Tanzania. So there is a possibility that theirs can be cheaper. But remember, ours is government to government deal. We also have a port. Why is ours at 195? Yet Dar es Salaam it is 157. Their government to government deal has not yielded its main objective. He also told that the fuel deal, government to government deal, will ease the demand for the dollar. At the time when they went for this, the dollar was trading at 135, 140 sometimes, 138, 140 sometimes. But can I tell you that 3 months ago, the dollar was trading at 128.59. $1, the exchange rate was 128.59. But right now, it stands at 140.92. So, generally, we can conclude that the reason we were convinced that this fuel government to government deal will ease demand on the dollar and lower exchange rates, it has not worked. So that is something that Kenyans have learned the hard way. And therefore, the reduced consumption of fuel is denying the government the target revenues that they wanted to get. Finally, the Azimio defiance team, the Azimio civil disobedience strategy. One thing you must note is that many Kenyans are currently finding themselves more aligned to Azimio than Kenya Kwanza. And this is giving the government sleepless nights. They have been talking left, right, and center. Some even proposing extreme ideas like arresting Raila Odinga. We do not know whether they can implement that. But the reason why they are targeting Raila Odinga is because of what they saw on Friday. The Sabasaba maandamanos were very successful. They were affected countrywide. In fact, the only areas you would say that it did not materialize was the center of Rift Valley and the center of central Kenya. But all other parts were in support of this. And I believe that even in those areas, while they are just closed down because of their tribal and political alliances, they also would have wanted, in one way or the other, to engage in such kind of demos. The Azimio civil disobedience thing is causing the government sleepless nights. And I think right now they are holed up in meetings trying to understand and to re-strategize on how to address the question of Raila Odinga. Kenyans online have also not let the government rest. You remember the other day I gave you an analysis talking about how the government has recruited bloggers who are aligned to Azimio into their team. These people are proving to be worthless because Kenyans, in their own volition, have become government haters, and they record everything, they make jokes, they ridicule, they oppose, they call out the government on social media platforms. For this reason, you will understand that the government is seriously sabotaged and they do not have any way through which they can engage publicly with the people. And you would note that for this reason, because Kenyans across the different political alignments have come out to oppose this government, they have decided to go and muzzle the media. I can tell you the media is really constrained in how it can operate right now. You remember even when it comes to the demonstrations, while previously they aired what was going on, this time round there was no live feed anywhere. They would just go where Raila Odinga is speaking, a little bit of what he's taking that and forgetting about it. So it is a media blackout that the Kenya Kwanza government has decided to impose on Azimio. So for me, I believe Kenyans have decided to go head on and face William Ruto on his demands and his strategies. That's my take. I don't know what is your opinion on that. If you have any comment or opinion, please let's get talking down in the comment section. Thank you once again. Please remember to subscribe to our channel. We value you, we like you, and we pray for you each and every time. May God bless you and may God bless Kenya. Thank you. Let's meet in our next analysis.